Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here. In today's video, we're going to take a look at the NBA slate on Draftkings and Yahoo for Thursday, September the 3rd. We have a bit of a different slate, one we haven't seen yet. A lot of these slates, it's kind of like the same slate every other day. Well, that's not the case today. We still have Toronto, Boston, game 3 of their series. We've had, these guys in our slates the last few. But we do have Denver and LA playing for the first time. This is game 1, so new matchups there with the Clippers facing the Nuggets. We'll definitely talk about some guys in that game that I do really like. I think with how guys played in the last series, I don't know if we should really look at that for this series because this is just a totally different matchup. Teams are going to match up differently. There's definitely guys I like from the Denver side that maybe didn't play well in the Utah series, but I think could play well here against this Clippers team. I'll be sure to break that down. We'll break down everything, go position by position. I'll tell you guys, the guys that I like, look at the slate the night before, what I see, my early thoughts, what I'm seeing at each position. Just before we do get started, guys, as always, I would appreciate it if you would hit that like button down below. I do appreciate all the likes, guys. Pretty much every NBA video recently has been getting over 200 likes. Can't thank you guys enough for all the support you continue to show me. Even on these 2-game slates, you guys are still, showing a lot of love on the YouTube channel, so I can't thank you guys enough for all the support. If you are new here, be sure to hit the subscribe button as well. I do upload NBA videos every single day to this YouTube channel. When NFL season starts in about a week, I will be uploading NFL videos as well. I'll have videos up for the Showdown slates, especially at the beginning of the season when Showdown is really popular. People love playing Showdown. And then I'll obviously have videos up for the main slate as well for NFL. I'll have Patreon content, or I'll have NFL content on Patreon as well. You can definitely check out the Patreon if you would like. It is linked down below in the description. If you do really enjoy my videos and you want to get more content from me, I do have stuff available on Patreon. You can see all that I have to offer over there, linked down below in the description. But yeah, guys, let's go ahead and look at today's slate. We will start off at point guard. So we got Jamal Murray here, 9,300. Facing the Clippers, a team we haven't seen, matched up so far. I don't think these teams played during the bubble. They actually did play during the bubble. I don't know if we should really take this into account. I'm pretty sure that was a game where, both teams really had nothing to play for. Jamal Murray only played 25 minutes. I don't know if we should really look at that. But during the Utah series, Jamal Murray was obviously incredible, especially those last few games. He did really struggle in Game 7, which was kind of a surprise. Everyone, including myself, going into that slate, Donovan Mitchell, Jamal Murray looked like the top 2 plays on the day by far, and they both went out there and disappointed. Murray's price did come down. He's 9,300 on DraftKings. I don't know if I love this spot though against the Clippers. The Clippers have really good defenders. I'm assuming either one of Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, or if Patrick Beverley plays, potentially Patrick Beverley. One of those 3 guys are going to be on Jamal Murray at all times. If I had to guess. I'm not saying Jamal Murray's just going to go out there and put up 27 DK points again, but I don't know if we're going to get a massive 60, 70 point game from Murray. We're going to talk about Jokic when we get to center. I think this is a really good matchup for Jokic. I like him a lot. I definitely do prefer him over Murray today. Murray is still viable. I'm just kind of scared here, with this spot. I think the Clippers could give him some trouble. He's still going to have a ton of usage, still going to get all the opportunity in the world to just shoot as much as he wants. But the Clippers will probably make life hard on him. Utah didn't really do a good job of that. They just let Murray go out there and score at will. They did do a good job in Game 7. He didn't have a great game in Game 7. I like a lot of the mid-range options today. Van Vliet, Kemba, Kyle Lowry. These are guys I've been playing a lot recently. I really like them again today. So for that reason, Murray, for sure he's in play on a 2-game slate. I just don't know if he's going to be someone I'd go out of my way to play. I think if I was going to play him, Yahoo's where he looks the most appealing. He's $37 over there. He's not as expensive as he is on DraftKings. You compare his price to Jokic, like Jokic is $43. So you're getting pretty big savings, comparing him to Jokic. Whereas on DraftKings, Jokic and Murray, I believe, are like the same price tag. Jokic is just 200 more. So yeah, if I was going to play Murray, would probably be over on Yahoo. I think that's where I like him the most. But these mid-range options, Kemba, Van Vliet, Kyle Lowry, these are the guys I really like today. Kemba, I've been on pretty much every slate recently. He wasn't great last game. He did hit the game-winning shot, but for DFS, for the full game, wasn't great. Just 30 DraftKings points, 17 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. I still like Kemba a ton. He gets an increase in usage with Gordon Hayward off the floor. His minutes are locked in right now. He's playing 36, 38 minutes. We shouldn't be worried about that anymore. He's looked like his old self. He's a very productive player. You know, he averages about 1.2 fantasy points per minute on the season with Gordon Hayward off the floor. At 7,700, I like Kemba a good amount. You know, I think between him and Van Vliet's the same price tag. I do prefer Van Vliet, but on Yahoo, you know, Kemba looks pretty appealing there. He's $28. He's $2 less than Lowry. He is $4 less than Van Vliet. So definitely give me some Kemba on Yahoo at $28. I think that's where he looks the most appealing. I do like him on Draftkings as well, but I think at the same price tag, I would prefer Fred Van Vliet. Van Vliet's just been as consistent as it gets in the playoffs. You know, locked into 40-plus minutes a night, 43 minutes in Game 1, 38 minutes in Game 2, 40, 39 Draftkings points. I know he hasn't given you great gains for his price tag, but we know the kind of upside that Fred Van Vliet has, especially, you know, with him playing 40, 42 minutes. It is so hard for him to disappoint at this price. Like, he shot 36% from the field, 25% from three last game, and he still had almost 40 Draftkings points. I mean, if he even knocks down 55% of his shots, you're looking at a 50-point game from Van Vliet. Same thing could be said in Game 1 of this series. Shot 18% from the field, 18% from three, and still had 40 Draftkings points. I know he had 6 steals in that game, but Van Vliet's one of those guys that can give you a little bit of everything. He can score, can get rebounds, can get assists, you know, can get those defensive stats, can pick up some steals. I like Van Vliet a lot at 7,700. I think I do slightly prefer him over Kyle Lowry. Kyle Lowry did have the slightly better game last game. Lowry's obviously in play as well. You know, Lowry, I feel very confident with him. Going to get 40 minutes most likely. You know, the Raptors are down here. They're down 0-2. They need to win these games. They cannot go down 0-3. Or their chances of winning this series are pretty much slim to none. So expect huge minutes for guys like Lowry, Van Vliet. I like both of them a ton. On DraftKings, with the pricing being so close between these guys, I think I'd probably prefer the two Raptors guys over Kemba. But on Yahoo, where Kemba's actually cheaper than the Raptors guys, I would rather go to Kemba there. However, I do like Van Vliet a lot on Yahoo as well. You look at the shooting guard position, you really only have like 4 options here. I mean, I guess you could play Gary Harris at $11, but that's probably something I won't be doing. You're either playing PG, Van Vliet, Jaylen Brown, or Marcus Smart. None of these $10 guys are playable in my opinion. You know, maybe if Beverly sits, you could go to Landry Shamet because he'll probably see upper 20s in minutes and could pay off that price. But for me, on Yahoo, I just want to try and get in, you know, one of these top 3 guys, Smart included as well, one of these 4 guys in my shooting guard spot. And Van Vliet looks like one of my favorite options, $32. I do like Jaylen Brown a lot as well at $26. If you need some savings, I think he makes plenty of sense. If you want to drop down from Van Vliet to Jaylen Brown, I have no problems with that. But for now, going to plug in Fred Van Vliet on Yahoo as well. Definitely like this matchup for him. You know, Boston's a good defensive team, but when Van Vliet's playing 40, 42 minutes, he's going to pay off this price tag most nights because he's a fantasy point per minute player, a guy that can contribute in all categories. Very hard for him to disappoint. Has such a high floor, and we know the ceiling is there for Van Vliet. He's shown he can go for 50-plus. When his shot's falling. So really like Van Vliet. Then you have like Marcus Smart, who I think's viable. You know, if I was going to play Marcus Smart, it would probably be on Yahoo where he's shooting guard and you have to play at least one shooting guard. He's only $19. That is a pretty cheap price tag for Smart. You know, normally I don't like playing Marcus Smart because he just doesn't give you a ton of upside, but he's going to play huge minutes. I mean, he got 38 minutes last game. I expect he gets about 36, 38 minutes again. He's viable for sure. I don't think he's someone I'm going to go out of my way to play, but I do have some interest in Smart. Lou Will at 6,200. You know, I'm a little bit hesitant on Lou Will. I don't know why, but his minutes have been way down. You know, they were way down in the last 2 games of that Dallas series. Just 22 and 17 minutes. You know, doesn't look like there was foul trouble or anything. I don't know what they do today. You know, because him and Smart are so closely priced, you know, I think I do give the edge to Smart just because we know Smart is locked into big minutes. Lou Will's minutes have been up in the air. Like, they were kind of up in the air a lot during the regular season. Towards the end of that Dallas series, they were up in the air as well. We know Lou Will has upside. I mean, if he comes off the bench and knocks down a couple of shots, like Doc Rivers will just leave him in there and let him keep shooting. But I'm a bit worried. His price tag's still up there too. He's 6,200. You need close to 40 for him to be like a really good play at his price. So for that reason, if I had to choose one of Smart or Lou Will, I think I'd give the edge to Smart. But on DraftKings, I don't think either guy are going to be guys I go out of my way to play. Value-wise, though, I mean, not much value I love here. I know Monte Morris had a solid game last game. Played 25 minutes. You know, I'm not going to play Monte Morris at 4,100. I just think he's too expensive. His minutes are going to be down as well now with Gary Harris back. We're not going to get 36, 38 minutes from Monte Morris. He's most likely going to be in the mid-20s. You're going to need him to be incredibly productive for him to pay off this price in 25, 26 minutes. He was really productive last game. 7 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists, and 3 steals in 25 minutes. I'm not going to chase that game, though. I'm not going to be on Monte Morris. I guess you could go to Jackson or Shamet, one of those two guys. Maybe Beverly, too. We don't know yet if Beverly is expected to play, so he's expected to be available. We'll have to see, if he's going to be limited here, if he starts. If Beverly starts and he's not limited, he could be a guy you consider for 3,500. They probably will need his defense on Jamal Murray. So I don't mind Beverly if he winds up starting and isn't limited, but he's been on a minutes limit a lot this season. They limited him some at the beginning of the playoffs. So we'll have to wait and see there. I guess with Beverly back, though, I mentioned Shamet earlier, but I'm not going to be on Shamet if Beverly's back. I'm not going to be on Reggie Jackson either. So I guess the one value I would consider would be Beverly. That's if he's not limited and if he gets back into the starting lineup. But yeah, let's go ahead and move on to shooting guard. So here, Jaylen Brown, I do like quite a bit, 7,400. I mentioned it in my last video. Jaylen Brown was someone I was just going to keep playing. He's not going to be as bad as he was, in the first game of the Toronto series and then, towards the end of that Philly series. He's not going to be a guy that gives you 25, 30. Jaylen Brown has 35, 40, 45-point upside. He's got the upside with Gordon Hayward out. We know where the offensive production's coming from in Boston. We know where the minutes are coming from as well. Jaylen Brown's going to play close to 40 minutes as long as the game stays close and he's not in foul trouble. He's another guy that can contribute in all categories, can score, grab rebounds, can pick up a few assists, can get those defensive stats. I still like Jaylen Brown at 7,400. I wouldn't play him over guys like Van Vliet, Kemba, Lowry. I'd prefer those guys over Jaylen Brown. But just talking about Yahoo, like I mentioned it earlier, Jaylen Brown shooting guard, he's also cheaper than a lot of those other guys, so I definitely like him at his Yahoo price, especially because, you have to play at least one shooting guard, and there's really only 4 options that I like at the position. But then Smart, Lou Will, talked about them. Norman Powell, I probably won't be on here. His minutes have been down recently, just 13 minutes last game. Norman Powell has upside, but I don't really play him whenever, Toronto's fully healthy. When Kyle Lowry, when Van Vliet, when Siakam, when all these guys are healthy, I just rarely play Norman Powell. Sure, he could come off the bench, knock down 5, 6 threes, and pay off his price tag, but I doubt I go there. He did have that 44-point game against Brooklyn. I'm pretty sure a lot of that came, I know he came off the bench and was, just producing at an incredibly high level. You don't expect him to, average nearly 2 fantasy points per minute. He's just not that kind of player. Even though he's cheap, I doubt I really go to Norman Powell. Gary Harris is hard to trust right now. He got up to 26 minutes last game, but still just 14 DraftKings points. He played 21 minutes in his first game back, then 26 the next game. Do we get 30 minutes from Gary Harris? It's a possibility. If we can confirm that he's going to play about 30 minutes, I guess he's not the worst value at 4,200, especially because, we don't have a ton of value on these playoff slates. So Harris is viable. I just don't know if he's someone, I'm not going to have my night rely on Gary Harris. I'll have exposure to him probably because it's a 2-game slate, and I can't just play 3 guys. I have to widen my player pool a little bit. I still don't expect him to be a value play that my night's riding on. I really don't want to pay down for too many of these guys just because I don't feel very confident in them. We don't have a ton of elite studs either. Kawhi's 10-3. Then you got some 9K guys. It's not like we have Giannis, Harden on this slate, LeBron, AD, those guys that are always priced above 10K, close to 11K. Those guys aren't on the slate. Kawhi's our most expensive option. You could probably easily fit in a Kawhi, Jokic lineup if that's the way you want to go and, not have to pay down too much. You probably won't be able to get a Van Vliet or a Lowry in there, but you could definitely go Kawhi, Jokic, and then some of these 6K, 5K guys rather than trying to pay down for these 4K guys, 3K guys that you just don't feel very confident in. Harris is viable, but still, don't expect him to be a core value of mine. I know Torrey Craig got decent run off the bench last game, 34 minutes, 21 DraftKings points. Who knows if Torrey Craig plays that many minutes in this series? They're probably going to need his defense to guard Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. So maybe Torrey Craig plays over 30 minutes again. It's a possibility. I don't know who the Nuggets are going to use to defend those guys. Maybe Jeremy Grant guards Kawhi. Maybe, I don't even know yet. Like, I don't know who they're going to use, mate, because, I mean, if Monte Morris starts again, like, who does he guard? I have no idea. Maybe they put, I don't really know. Like, Paul Millsap guards Kawhi and Jeremy Grant guards PG. I don't think that's going to work. So, yeah, there's definitely a possibility you see Torrey Craig play big minutes here. They'll need his defense against Kawhi and PG. So he's viable at 3,600. I never feel good putting Torrey Craig in my lineups because he's not a great fantasy player. But the minutes should be there, I would think, in this spot. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Monte Morris goes to the bench and you see Gary Harris or Torrey Craig start. That's definitely a possibility against this Clippers team. So just keep an eye on their starting lineup. Sucks that this is the late night game, but I wouldn't play Monte Morris to begin with, but I guess if you had Morris in your lineup and if you had him in your guard spot or your util spot, then you could pivot to one of Harris or Craig if Morris, comes off the bench. Even if Morris starts again, I probably won't be on him anyway. So, yeah, I guess Torrey Craig is viable. Should get 30 minutes again because I think they will need his defense in this series. If he plays over 30 minutes in game one of this series, I think it's very likely you see him play pretty big minutes the rest of the series. So, but, yeah, let's go ahead and move on to small forward. So at the top here, you got Kawhi and Jason Tatum. Two guys I do have a good amount of interest in. I mean, Kawhi's just been so good in the playoffs, was so good in that Mavs series, gave you over 50 DraftKings points in every single game in all 6 games. I mean, showed a big ceiling, had a 64-point game, a 71-point game, in Game 6 in the closeout game, was playing 38 to 40 minutes every night. I mean, Kawhi's definitely one of the top pay-up options today if you can find a way to fit him in. I think given the savings, I probably would rather go to Jokic because I really like this spot for Jokic. But Kawhi is my next favorite stud behind Jokic today. Jason Tatum I have interest in as well. He was really good last game, 55 DraftKings points in 42 minutes. I wasn't going to let a disappointing Game 1 get me off of Jason Tatum. We know the kind of upside this guy has. He's playing 40, 42 minutes a night, gets all the usage without Gordon Hayward. I mean, he's already the highest usage player on this team, but you take Hayward off the floor, that is a boost for Tatum, gives him a little bit more usage. He should be a little bit more productive as well with Hayward off the floor. Definitely like Jason Tatum at 9,200. If you're building out your lineup and you see that, or you have Kawhi in there and you find out that you kind of need to drop down to Tatum, I have no problems with that. I don't think Tatum outscores Kawhi, but he could definitely come close enough to Kawhi to where, dropping down from Kawhi to Tatum isn't, going to kill you. If Kawhi goes for 60 and Tatum goes for like 55, I mean, both guys are going to be very good plays at their price. We could see either one be in the winning lineup. Maybe they both be in the winning lineup together. But I definitely like those two guys. Same on Yahoo. There's a salary difference between the two. Kawhi is 49, Tatum's 41. Again, if I have Kawhi in there and I find that I need to drop down to Tatum, I'm going to have no problems doing that because I like Tatum here as well. It'll probably come down to how I build my lineup. Like if I have lineups with Jokic in them, I probably will get Kawhi in there. If I build out some lineups and I see that I have like 2 or 3 Raptors, then I'll probably plug Tatum into those lineups. That's just how I like to build on these 2-game slates. I do like to correlate a little bit. PG, 8,200. Doubt I really go there. I mean, just wasn't great during the Dallas series. I don't think we're going to see PG be this bad, rest of playoffs. He's going to pick it up at some point, but it's not like he's cheap. I mean, he's still 8,200. You're not getting much of a discount on him. So I doubt I go to PG today. If I'm going to pay up at small forward, I'd just rather get to Kawhi and Tatum. In the mid-range, you got guys like Marcus Morris, who's fine, but I doubt I really play a ton of Marcus Morris. MPJ got solid run off the bench, or he did in Game 6 with 28 minutes. Game 5, he got 34 minutes against Utah, but then in Game 7, only played 17 minutes. He was very productive, though, with 27 DraftKings points in those 17 minutes. I mean, this is definitely a scary spot for MPJ because I don't know, like if he goes out there and he has to guard Kawhi or Paul George, like he's just going to get cooked defensively on the defensive end. Like he's already a pretty bad defender. They'll just look to get him matched up with Kawhi anytime they can. I'm kind of scared to play MPJ here. I think if he starts getting abused on the defensive end by Kawhi and by PG, like Mike Malone will pull him very quickly. So that's a concern for me. I feel better about someone like Jeremy Grant. I know Grant hasn't been as productive as Michael Porter, but Grant is just playing huge minutes right now. I've played him a lot recently. He hasn't been great. He hasn't really done well for me, but I like him a lot at 4,900. We know he's going to get 35, 36, close to 40 minutes. I don't know if this really means anything, but for what it's worth, he's been good against the Clippers this season. He's averaged 31 DraftKings points through 3 games against them. I mean, you can take that with a grain of salt. That was during the regular season. This is the playoffs now. Things are definitely different. But I still like Jeremy Grant with him getting, close to 40 minutes. He's still cheap at 4,900. We don't have much value today. If I'm going under 5K, I think Jeremy Grant is someone I do like quite a bit at 4,900. Now, I think on Yahoo, if you look at the power forward position, there's really only 3 playable options here. You're either playing Pascal Siakam, Marcus Morris, or Jeremy Grant. None of these $10 guys I really want to go to. Like, maybe you could play Paul Millsap. I fell into that trap last slate. I did have a decent amount of Millsap just because the position was so bad, and he was just terrible. 14 minutes, 5 fantasy points. Like, it seems like they don't want to play Millsap right now. I don't even know why Millsap is still starting. Like, he's not getting minutes. So for me, I'm playing either one of Siakam, Morris, or Grant in most of my lineups. Grant at $16, I do like quite a bit over on Yahoo as well. If you can't pay up for Siakam, I think I do, given the savings, I think I do prefer Jeremy Grant over Marcus Morris. Same on Draftkings as well. But then you got like OG in that mid-range. He's coming off a big game where he had 32 Draftkings points in 38 minutes. I don't think I'm going to chase that game. OG's going to play big minutes, that's for sure. He's going to get 34, 35, 36 minutes. I don't expect him to shoot 58% from the field and 66% from 3 again, though. Like, OG's just not a productive player on a point-per-minute basis. Like, rarely are you getting over 30 Draftkings points from him. I know Jeremy Grant's been way worse, but I think I'd rather play Jeremy Grant over OG today. Maybe that's a hot take, but especially if people are going to chase that OG game and he's going to be like 30, 40% owned. I think he was pretty popular on the last slate. If he's going to be popular again, like, I'll just look elsewhere. I'd rather play Jeremy Grant just straight up. I doubt I'd go to Norman Powell. Like, I guess you could maybe pivot off of OG to Norman Powell, but I'm really concerned with Norman Powell's minutes right now. It's really hard to trust him. You do have Torrey Craig, though, as a value. You could play a small forward. Like I said earlier, I think there's a legit possibility he plays over 30 minutes every game in this series because they will need his defense against Kawhi and PG. So, yeah, let's go ahead and move on to power forward. So here you got Siakam for 7,900. I said it last slate. I didn't love Siakam overall, but I did play a decent amount of him just because power forward was so bad. That's kind of the case today, especially on Yahoo. Like I said earlier, you really only have 3 playable options at power forward. You're either playing Siakam, Morris, or Grant. So Siakam is obviously going to find his way into some of my lineups because, he's only one of 3 options here, and I don't want to go all in on Jeremy Grant. So for that reason, I do have interest in Siakam just because of the position. But when you talk about the slate as a whole, looking at other guys in the 7K range, I'd rather play Van Vliet, Kemba, Lowry probably I'd rather go to as well. But Siakam did play pretty well in Game 2. He was disappointing in Game 1, but bounced back in Game 2 with 44 Draftkings points in 43 minutes, 17 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, 1 block, 3 steals. Just your typical Pascal Siakam game. One of those guys that can, give you a little bit of everything, can double-double, can pick up assists, can get defensive stats. I still like Siakam. I'm just not going to consider him like a core play for me. Only site where he would be a core play would be Yahoo, and that's just because I'm going to be playing a good amount of Siakam over there just because power forwards suck so bad. You have like you have dual position eligibility on DraftKings. Like, you can play guys like Tatum at power forward. Daniel Tice has power forward eligibility, who I like. Jeremy Grant, power forward eligible. So yeah, let's talk about some of these other guys though. Daniel Tice, I was on him a good amount last slate. I definitely like him again here. He got 30 minutes last game. Wasn't that productive, just 25 Draftkings points, but it was great to see Tice play 30 minutes. I think we're going to consistently see him play about 30 minutes a night during this series. They need his size. They're going to have, or the Raptors are going to have one of Siakam, Gasol, and Ibaka. One of those 3 guys is going to be on the floor at all times. If not, potentially 2 of those 3 guys will be on the floor. Tice is going to be needed here. He should play about 30 minutes again. This is a guy that gives you about a fantasy point per minute on the season. The price is slightly coming up, but I still like him a good amount, especially because, we don't have a ton of great options in the 5K and 4K range. Tice does stand out. I like that he has power forward eligibility on DraftKings. That makes it much easier to roster him. I do like him over on Yahoo as well. It sucks that he's center only over there, but he's really cheap on Yahoo. He's only $15. He was very popular on the last slate. I'll expect he'd be popular again, but I think this is chalk that I'll probably be eating and then kind of looking to differentiate elsewhere. It's already pretty hard to differentiate on a 2-game slate. I don't think I want to fade Daniel Tice at $15 because if he goes for 25, 30 fantasy points, which it's very likely he does, you're probably going to need him at a $15 salary because that is a pretty good score for that price tag. So yeah, I definitely like Daniel Tice again. OG we touched on, really no value that I like at power forward. I guess you could consider Tice a value and Grant a value. Millsap I don't want to play. Like, his minutes are just so up in the air. Like, who knows how many minutes he plays. Maybe because this is a different matchup against the Clippers, maybe Millsap sees more minutes. But I have no idea if that's going to be the case, so I probably won't be risking that. Let's go ahead and move on to center. We'll touch on this position before we end the video. So at the top here, we got Nikola Jokic for 9,500 against the Clippers. I like Jokic a lot. He's probably my favorite stud option overall on the slate. I like him on Draftkings at 9,500. I like him on Yahoo as well at $43. I think this is a really good spot for Jokic against the Clippers. We know the Clippers have really good defenders in Kawhi and PG, but down low, you can definitely attack this team down low with opposing centers. Jokic should be able to have his way against Zubac and against Montrezl Harrell. We do have a small sample size of Jokic so far this season against the Clippers. He's played three games against them. He's only averaged 28 minutes per game against them. I'm not sure why that is, but he's averaged 44 Draftkings points per game in those 28 minutes. When these teams did play in the bubble, they had a seeding game. Jokic only played 28 minutes, but he had 46 Draftkings points. We obviously don't expect Jokic to play 28 minutes today. You're most likely going to get 36, 38 minutes from him. I think Jokic has the insane upside here. We didn't get any big games. He put up 55 DK points in Game 7. He did have a solid game there, but we have yet to get, the 65, 70-point game from Jokic. I think there's a legit possibility we see a massive Jokic game tonight, a big triple-double. Love this matchup for him. He should be able to have his way against Zubac and against Montrezl Harrell. Like, this is just a totally different spot. He was having to face a really good defender in Rudy Gobert. Now he gets to face a slow Zubac and an undersized Montrezl Harrell. I love Jokic on this slate. He's my favorite pay-up option. One of my favorite plays overall today. But then some other centers we could consider. You got Ibaka in the mid-range for 6,100. I don't mind Ibaka, but I don't think he's going to be someone that I go out of my way to play. He's been solid the last two games, 26 and 27 minutes, 28 and 35 Draftkings points. Ibaka is a productive player. He averages over a fantasy point per minute. I think I do prefer some of the cheaper options, though. Like, you have Tice for cheaper, 5,300. He's $800 less. We also have Zubac at 4,800. I like Zubac quite a bit here. I talked about how he should struggle against Jokic defending him, but it's not like Montrezl Harrell is going to be able to do a much better job. I think it's possible we see, 30 minutes from Zubac today. He played 33 minutes in Game 6 against Dallas. It seems like they just don't want to give minutes to Montrezl Harrell right now. Like, in Game 6, Montrezl Harrell only played 15 minutes. I don't see him getting big minutes against Jokic. Like, he's just not going to match up well with Jokic. I think we get about 30, 32 minutes from Zubac again. When these teams played during the bubble, I don't know what Zubac did. The game's not showing up. I don't know if he played or what happened there, but these teams did play during the bubble. Oh, there it is. So they did play during the bubble. He played 21 minutes and had 34 Draftkings points, so a pretty productive game when they played during the regular season. At 4,800, I think we get 30 minutes from Zubac, probably more than that. They need his, he's at least someone that has size that could maybe match up well with Jokic. Jokic should still be able to, have his way with Zubac, but Zubac has the best chance of slowing down Jokic than Montrezl Harrell does, just in my opinion. Maybe Kawhi guards Jokic. I could see that happening, but Kawhi's kind of undersized compared to Jokic as well. I really like Zubac as a value. He's only 4,800 on DK. I think there's easy upside for him to get over 30 Draftkings points and be a very solid play at that price, especially because I'm expecting him to play about 30 minutes, if not more. I do prefer him over Harrell. On Yahoo, you could also go to Zubac. He's $17. He is more expensive than Tice, so straight up, I would rather go to Tice. But Zubac will definitely be in my player pool. Maybe in lineups where I don't have both Jokic and Tice. Maybe I only play Jokic in one, then I'll have Zubac some. I'll just mix and match those three guys. Like Jokic, Zubac, Tice, by far are my three favorite centers today. But lastly, Harrell, don't really want to go there. Just minutes are so up in the air right now. Who knows how many minutes he plays here. I think Zubac just gets the majority of the center minutes. Talked about Paul Millsap. I don't really want to go there. Marc Gasol's cheap, but who knows how many minutes he plays. He plays 26 in Game 1, but just 21 minutes in Game 2. It looks like he did foul out in those 21 minutes, but still hasn't been productive. Even getting mid-20s minutes, he's only giving you 19, 17 Draftkings points. I'd rather get up to Zubac if I can. Just don't think I'm going to go to Marc Gasol today. I know some people were on Robert Williams last game. They kind of ran bad because Robert Williams got off to an incredibly hot start, had like 15 Draftkings points in like 7 minutes, and then really didn't do anything in the second half. I do expect Williams to be pretty much the backup center to Daniel Tice. So if Daniel Tice plays 30 minutes, Robert Williams will probably play 18 minutes. If Daniel Tice plays 28 minutes, Robert Williams will probably get 20 minutes. So if you want to consider him, I mean, he's not the worst value because he is a fantasy point per minute player. Like, he's a productive player when he gets minutes. He could go out there and get 25 DraftKings points in 20 minutes. Easily could do that. I guess if you're going to go under 4K, like, Williams is viable. I still don't consider him like a core value. I think he was actually kind of chalky last slate. Like, he was like 30 or 40% owned. Like, if he's going to be 40% owned, like, I don't want to play him. But maybe if people shy away from him, I don't mind Robert Williams. But, like, between Robert Williams or Torrey Craig, Torrey Craig's obviously not as productive of a player as Williams, but I think Torrey Craig probably plays 10, maybe 15 more minutes than Williams does. For that reason, I guess I maybe would give the edge to Torrey Craig over Williams. But I guess if you're going under 4K, both those guys are viable. Like, if you want to go with a stud lineup where you play like 3 studs, I don't know if that'll be something that I do personally. But if you want to do that, you're going to have to play one of these cheap guys. So I guess that's where Robert Williams, would come into play. But yeah, I think we covered everything for center, guys. I think we broke it all down. I think we broke everything down for this 2-game slate. I hope you guys did enjoy the video. I do appreciate you watching. If you enjoyed, hit that like button before we get out of here. Hit the subscribe button as well. Click that notification bell so that way you do get notified every time I upload. You'll never miss out on any of my new videos. And if you really enjoy these YouTube videos and you do want to get more content from me, I have stuff available on Patreon that you can check out. That is linked down below in the description. You can go check out the Patreon, see all that I have to offer. We'll have NFL content on Patreon when NFL season starts, and I'm putting MLB and NBA content up over there pretty much every single day. I post my articles Monday through Friday. I'm posting updated core plays every single day over on Patreon, so definitely check that out, link down below. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I do appreciate you watching. We'll see you in the next one, guys. Peace.